Thank you all for joining us. We're so excited to talk about all things brand collaborations. We've all been introduced, but I'm Susie David Kenyon, and so thrilled to be joined by some amazing brands and some amazing leaders. So before we jump into the topic, I'd like to go down the line, and if everybody can introduce yourselves quickly, rapid fire style, and tell us all about one collaboration that you're really excited about that you guys have done.
Yeah, my name is Wynn Galloway. We own a furniture brand, high-end luxury furniture. And the most kind of memorable collaboration that we have is we just recently launched a collection with RH, more commonly known as Restoration Hardware.
Hi, my name's Corinne Crockett. I'm the CMO of Hiya Health. And today I'm going to share with you a partnership that we did with Patel and their Barbie and Hot Wheels properties.
Hi, my name is Demi Marchese. I am the CEO founder of 12th Tribe. We're a women's lifestyle fashion brand. We recently launched a collaboration with a popular influencer, corporate Natalie, launching a workwear line, and I'm very excited to share more about that. It was extremely successful and very exciting.
Hi everyone, I'm Suruchi. I run marketing for Minted, and Minted's a premium stationery and home decor brand. We do a lot of partnerships. Some of our more notable ones are with Target and West Elm and DoorDash. But the one that I'll focus on more is a partnership we did in 2023 with the Kelsey family, Jason and Kylie, and we did their holiday card, which was a very zeitgeisty moment at that time. So that's the one I'm going to talk about.
Hi, I'm AJ Patel. I work as SVP of Growth for U Beauty. We're a luxury skincare brand. One of the exciting partnerships that we did last year was with Tinks, who's an influencer who some of you might have heard of.
Awesome. Thanks so much for those great introductions. So we all know the brand partnerships take many different forms, whether it's wholesale partnerships, media partnerships, influencer collaboration. So I'm going to start with you, Suruchi. As you think about the factors, what are 3 things that you're looking for to build a really good, strong relationship?
I'm going to give you 6 things,
okay.
Not 3.
I'll take 6.
Yeah, I mean, this is actually a framework we put together, and the team lovingly calls it the litmus test. But we're looking at 5 things that are like an or. Not all of them have to be true, but 2 or 3 of them have to be true. And then I'll talk about the 6th one. So the 5 are design relevance. Minted's a heavy premium design provider, so it has to feel like it has the relevance from a design perspective. Cultural relevance, is it going to give us a moment, a conversation in the moment, which is kind of the zeitgeisty thing I was talking about. Product relevance, it has to make sense for our merchandising team and their other partner side as well. Mass relevance, is it going to really be that big needle mover partnership? Or niche relevance, like can we be working with a brand that's driven by a very passionate set of followers, even if the reach is smaller? And the 6th one, which is really the and, is sales. We don't do a partnership that's not in service of sales. Sales is a very tricky thing to measure from a partnership. So there's direct sales, there's influence sales, but we're looking at that as a framework for us.
I love that. I mean, you can't be a retailer without sales, so we'll definitely talk a little bit more about that. But before we do, Corinne, you've done some really interesting partnerships with some mega media brands, and tell us a little bit more about what your approach is like.
Yeah, so I've got to back up and kind of explain how the partnership came to be. We're a kids' health and wellness brand. We specialize in nutrition, but we're a clean kids' vitamin brand, so non-GMO, non-gummy, no sugar, clean project certified. Anyway, so I think what a lot of brands have done, because honestly, kids don't love taking their vitamins every morning. Most of them are vegetarians, they just love pasta only. And a lot of companies had just thrown sugar at this problem. And we said, okay, we need kids to wake up and be excited to take vitamins, but we don't want to give them sugar. How does that work? So instead, what we did is we created this entire welcome box experience with a refillable bottle, not a one-time plastic throwaway. And we said, okay, the first time someone gets their Hiya and they unbox it, it's really beautiful. It comes with stickers, and then after that, they get refills, but their first box is really beautiful. And so we've done that, and what happens is kids start connecting health and happiness together without the sugar, which is what we want. And we had done this beautiful welcome kit with our own brand for a long time, but we really wanted to jazz it up. And so that's when we started looking to partnerships to help us with this. And so, of course, Mattel having Barbie, the movie, everything so incredible, Hot Wheels, there's a TV show, and that's perfect for kids. It also resonates with a parent who's the buyer because it's really, memorable to parents who grew up with those properties. And the things that we look for, to answer your question, were one, does the brand align with your brand values? So is someone pushing the industry forward in an innovative way, but at the same time, it's staying core to your brand values? Two, I would say target audience, but not just demographics. I think we always think of that as your core target, but really it's psychographic. So it's like, is there a lifestyle, is there beliefs, are there values that are incorporated? And the third thing that we look for is, okay, so I want a partnership that is with a brand partner that is within my same TAM, but outside of my network. So I want to talk to similar people, but I don't want to talk to the same people. These digital algorithms, Meta, TikTok, Google, they all kind of feed us similar people. And partnerships allow us to reach outside of that kind of loop and find new people, and we found that in Mattel.
That's awesome. And it's interesting because you guys sell to kids through parents, right? And so you have to get everybody excited. When you think about still thinking about selection, I know in the furniture category, it's a little bit different. There is an emotional connection, but it's a longer sort of process. How do you think about that selection of the right partner, like Restoration Hardware, to ensure that they are meeting your needs in terms of increasing your reach and finding a new audience, but also being in line with what you guys do?
Yeah, so we have kind of two core businesses. We have an interior design firm that works on high-end luxury homes with the kind of clients that I can't say who they are because we had to sign really thick NDAs. And we kind of take that creative expression in those projects, and then really that becomes the muse for what we do at LeMay. And what's interesting is, RH, that is a no-brainer collaboration for an interior design firm and a furniture brand. But really, I think what a good collaboration does is accomplishes one of two things, and ideally maybe both of them at the same time. And the first being that you are exposing yourself to a new customer base that's like-minded, of high value, has high intent, that's similar to your existing customer base. So from there, you need to really understand who is your customer and what do they value, and then look at that collaboration and say, is this going to be valuable? And then I think the second thing is that it can also, or hopefully does, reinforce the existing value of the people that maybe know about you, even from maybe it's just a high awareness, or maybe they've shopped with you before. But will this collaboration actually reinforce the value that you're already bringing to the table?
That's awesome. And I think we always think about it in the lens of as the brand. We reach out to people and we're like, please partner with us. But AJ, when we were talking before to get ready, you were talking about how there's sometimes a cost associated to that. How do you guys think about that cost? How do you evaluate the partnerships with that lens?
Yeah, I think we look at it kind of like a baseball league, the different levels. So you have your single A partners and your double A and triple A. And people can graduate between different leagues. We look at starting with gifting as kind of the entry level point into the partnership, and then we evaluate kind of the performance. There's different types of metrics that we utilize too. It's brand metrics as well as sales metrics. So we work with direct response influencers as well as ones which are going to bring more brand credibility and elevate kind of the brand awareness for us. So people can graduate between the different tiers, and eventually, hopefully, people go to the major leagues, and yeah.
So it sounds like there is both a potential cost, and with the influencers, say, for example, but also a direct cost, potentially.
Correct, yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. So, but as we think about cost and the consumer, Demi, we talk a lot about short-term gain and long-term, partnerships, and how do you think about the decision-making process that goes through your mind when you're thinking about, is this for short-term or long-term, and what are some of the selection criteria and the approaches that you take in that way?
Yeah, I think, Suruchi, you make a great point about the litmus test. There's certain criteria you have to look for within the creator before you're jumping in full. We do a lot of creative partnerships, so that's where I'm going to speak from, but before we jump in with 2 feet to build out something that is going to be long-term, and that's the beauty of the online space, is there's this opportunity with creators to be able to test them in a short-term capacity before deciding, okay, let's do something in a bigger scale. So I actually had recently spoken to someone who was considering a partnership, and I asked them, has this person posted for you before? Are they an organic ambassador? No, they've never posted before. Okay, so let's talk about a short-term opportunity you can take with them, which is going to be to gift them, see the organic interaction, see how they post and engage. If the customers are relating to that creator and what they're sharing, let's do this short term, and then if that works out, great, you can go into a long-term partnership. But these days, the investment into partnerships is a high price. So you want to make sure that you're working with someone that's going to obviously generate a strong return, and you can test that out in that short term to make a very educated decision. And we, for example, just had partnered with Corporate Natalie. Some of you may know her, some of you may not, but I highly recommend you checking her out. She's absolutely hilarious and incredible to work with. She was an organic ambassador of 12th Tribe. She posted her story wearing some of our items, and our team saw it, reached out, immediately said, hey, we're on Like to Know It, or here's an affiliate link just in case you want to earn commission. No pressure. Immediately she turns around, reposts it. We see, X conversions within that story, and from my point of view, that's a perfect partner that we're going to then engage further with a long-term opportunity. Because you want an ambassador that organically loves the brand for those, because they're going to go above and beyond, and it's so much fun to work with those people.
That's awesome. I mean, we've spent our time talking a lot about the different types of collaborations and how you think about it. And we did talk about cost in terms of monetary, like the affiliate component, but you bring up another indirect cost could be the wrong partner, right? Has it happened? Have you guys thought through, like, how do you evaluate if it's the right or wrong partner if it's not an organic? Anybody?
Yeah, I could jump in. We have partnered with people who didn't organically promote the brand, where we were in touch with the agent and they're saying, hey, this creator's trending right now, they convert really well. We saw an opportunity because of the performance that they shared with us, but we actually hadn't worked with them directly. And that was the biggest learning point for me, because that collaboration unfortunately wasn't as successful as we would have liked it to be. And then going back to this partnership, like I keep mentioning, with this organic ambassadorship, above and beyond performance. I mean, we sold out within 48 hours because that person so truly loves the brand, and they're going to run home and talk about it to everyone.
Yeah.
So doing that vetting.
Yeah. And Susie, I can add a couple examples as well, because sometimes partnerships do surprise you. I'll give you an example of both successful and unsuccessful one. We did a partnership with Brynn Whitfield, who's the Real Housewives of New York star. And there was hesitation around the brand aspect of it, right? Because we consider ourselves a more premium brand, not a mass brand. And we did it. It was done very elegantly. We did all of the artwork in Brynn's apartment. And the photo shoot actually went so well that one of the photographs was picked up by Art Digest to be on their cover. And that one painting that she showcased ended up selling 100 units, right? And that was such a big surprise that my CEO came back and said, how can we do more Brynns, right? And so that was a good surprise. The other one we did was with a brand called Fellow. They do the cups. So there's like a Stanley Cup competitor, if you will. We partnered with them to do a lot of minted designs on their cups and bottles. Seemed like a really good partnership because our designs translate really well, and it sort of fell flat because people don't think of minted as a business. We are not in the drinkware business, neither is Fellow in the design space. So we ended up selling short of what we actually even committed. So I think there are partnerships that you just have to give a try to, and they'll surprise you in both positive and negative ways.
And that's, please go
and I
ahead.
think from like a product perspective, when you're developing new product in collaboration with another brand, something that we think about is we've gotten into collaborations and partnerships with different arts, rugs, different things. It takes a lot of work to create these new products, and it takes a lot of time. In reality, a partnership is what it says it is. It's a partnership, and your partners aren't going to have the same process or internal way of creating those products. And so something that's been a good litmus test for us is that naturally, if we're not willing or excited about adapting our process in order to align with someone else, we pretty quickly know this is not a partnership that we want to do in the future. And that's been a really great gut test or gut check for us in collaborating with different brands.
That's a really good point. And so once they pass that hurdle, it's teeing us up really well to continue to think about the partnership in terms of growth. And so how do you continue to work together to add value between all the different partners? I'm throwing this one to you.
Yeah. I really think it comes down to really acknowledging that it is a partnership when you're creating new products together. And you have to be willing to adapt the way that you do things in order to make sure that it's winning for both people. And that goes both ways. If someone's not willing to work with you, you have to look at it as a partnership, especially if it's going to be a long-term thing. Like, people need to actually collaborate, not just from a marketing perspective, but what does that collaboration look like throughout the life of the partnership?
Yeah, and to have some really good goals and KPIs, which brings us really well to the next question. Thank you. So we know partnerships really help drive both new customer acquisition, but also deepen relationships. And we've talked about a lot of different types of partnerships. There's always some emotional component. It's a memorable experience. So AJ, as you think about that, and we know sales is critical, is that the ultimate measure of success, or are there other things you're looking for?
I think there's two different types of partners, like I said. I mean, I think that there's ones which you're looking really to drive the brand awareness. We had a mention from Bella Hadid in May of last year, and we really saw an uptick in our brand metrics. We saw increases in our brand searches, and that was a great organic partnership that we had. We hadn't ever communicated with her and hadn't fostered a relationship, but she mentioned us in a Vogue piece that she did. And then there's also like these narrow and deep partnerships, like, for example, what we did with Tinks last year, where we actually collaborated with her on an individual product, which she actually put her name on, and she provided us feedback on the product, and we partnered with her to select a shade of our plasma lip compound. And so, there's different types of partnerships, and that was more, we were looking at the sales side of things and new customer acquisition, tapping into her audience, and that was a really great partnership for us there too.
Cool. And Corinne, how do you guys measure the effectiveness of your partnerships?
Yeah, I would take a bit of a different approach. I would say we always look at partnerships as they have to drive one of your main business KPIs that you look at every day to measure the health of your business. And we kind of say, if it's not impacting one of our main KPIs, what's the point of it? So I think we're really looking, obviously, yes, it has to align, but what I kind of think of a partnership really works from a visual and brand alignment perspective, but it doesn't do something like drive qualified leads, drive new customers, drive sales. It's like this great tasty dressing in an empty bowl with no salad. And everybody knows a really great salad has this like delicious dressing, but also the robust salad underneath, and that to me is what is a really good partnership. So in the example with Patel, when we launched the Barbie welcome kit for our Hiya bottles, I woke up the next day and new customer acquisition had doubled overnight. I was actually shocked. That was insane and really exciting. And also, we had re-engagement with our existing audience. It wasn't just new customer acquisition, but we prioritized new customer acquisition is the main metric we want to move with this partnership. If it also moves this secondary metric of engaging our existing customers, that's awesome, but we only need to structure it around moving this main metric. And I think that's really where we hit our sweet spot.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Yeah. I mean, I'm not a big fan of impressions, because impressions don't really do much. So we've always said it has to be sales or influenced sales, and there's ways to measure the influence aspect of it, but if it hasn't really done anything, the impressions just fade away. So why do a partnership?
Yeah, and it's important to set the expectations up front, right? Because there's always a lot of noise that happens.
Yeah. And setting those expectations up front is key to driving future partnerships as well, right? So measuring off KPIs, setting your benchmark for the next one. Don't go in blind, spending $200K, not knowing what your benchmark's gonna be. Just a quick few things on my end, like our KPIs from our last collaboration, what we looked at was we're actually trying to grow up with our customer who we were targeting at the 18 to 25 for a while, but now she's 25 to 35. So we worked with a ambassador creator whose target market was a little bit older. And our intention was, okay, let's see if our age demographic can shift a little bit by leveraging another audience outside of Meta, like what you just said, right? Because you tailor Meta to be speaking to your audience for quite a while, so you need to tap into that new demographic in different ways. Creator is an amazing way to do it. On top of that, though, we were also looking at AOV. So our AOV for someone that's 18 through 25 is lower than someone for 25 to 35. So with this age jump, we also saw our AOV double, which was huge for our merchandising strategy. So the KPIs are so important and very exciting
easy
to be able to measure true numbers.
Yeah, and it's so easy to get caught up in noise. And I think you're saying, influencers, creators, that's the next big thing. There are so many different new channels. There are lots of different platforms out there. So it's easy to get carried away in that. How do you, Demi, stay true to your platform that you know is what works for you and not think about others?
Yeah, this was definitely a roadblock for one of our previous collaborations recently, because TikTok can be so lucrative for creators, but not necessarily for our brand. So we had to really make sure that our marketing strategy and hers were aligning, that most of your efforts are gonna go onto Meta. Still fully believe in Instagram, and most of our community is on Instagram, so we have to make sure that whoever we're working with is gonna wanna collaborate with us there. Yeah. At the same time, we're also launching the week TikTok was almost banned, so that was a true test in terms of strategy.
Timing is everything.
Yeah, but what we found was that LinkedIn for a corporate wear line, great. So also allow your creators to trust in where their platforms are speaking, even if it isn't in alignment with yours. So it's a matter of tailoring the marketing strategy in a way that's obviously going to serve your main priority, highest engaged channels, while also keeping consideration that creator's channel and where they might want to test. So this is another example of a great way to test, as we're talking about litmus and testing. But LinkedIn now, when we relaunch this corporate line, we're going to shift more of our marketing calendar to LinkedIn, which we had never done before.
Yeah, it's so important to be flexible too, right? And now thank you for talking about the platforms. I'm going to flip that a little bit and talk about with you, Suruchi, if you can. We talk so much about the consumer shopping evolution and the way that they're thinking about what they're doing, how they're learning about new products is changing. Are you seeing that also impacting how you're structuring your partnerships if you focus on the consumer lens and the shopping journey?
Absolutely. I think the Zillennials, Gen Zs, and the younger millennials, they consistently tell us that 90% of their purchases are influenced by somebody they've heard talk about it, right? So, and one thing I say in the Minted terms, brides talk to brides, moms talk to moms. So, right, so influencers and celebrities have a huge impact, as do these more your friends, and your friends are influenced by other influencers. So for us, it's become very important to constantly be out there. Demi, you were talking about our influencer program. During Q4, we have 500 influencers talking about us. And some of them are bigger celebrities. Some of them are your nano and micro influencers. And so when we do these partnerships, we end up thinking about partnerships as more a 360 partnership. So it's not just that they have to be on Instagram or on TikTok, but they really should be something we can even put TV behind. And the reason why I brought up the Jason Kelsey and Kylie Kelsey partnership was it was very authentic because they had been using Minted for their cards for a long time. But the time we chose to do the partnership with them, there was the Eagles and the Chiefs game happening at the same time. Taylor Swift was very relevant. And so when we did that partnership, yes, it was all over social media, but we were also in TV right at the time the game was happening, right? And so we see that actually drives the consumer behavior significantly for us, because while that was an in-the-moment partnership, 2 years later, people are still talking about it.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's so important, right? The halo effect, being authentic, the timing, thinking about how you measure success. Our time flew by. Thank you so much. Before we leave you all, I thought maybe we can go and do another rapid fire coming this way. So AJ, starting with you, if you can just tell everybody, what's a key lesson that you've learned as you're building out your collaborations that's helped shape how you think about the next ones?
Yeah, I think definitely making sure that you're testing with all different types of influencers and creators, because ultimately what we've learned is that sometimes the most unexpected creators are the ones which will perform the best. So thinking about your target demo, looking at how they resonate with different age bands and different demographic bands is really important for us.
And since I can never stick to the rules, I'll give you two. The one is, sometimes there's a lot of hidden cost to a partnership. So some partnerships can look like they're low cost, low effort, but they can take a really big toll on your teams. So when you're thinking about partnerships, think about the total cost of ownership and not just the media costs and usage fees and things like that. And the second would be, again, what I was talking about. If your partnership is very authentic and genuine, it will actually resonate with your customers and stay with you for a long time.
I'm kind of going to echo your first one. Honestly, we learned a lot about setting clear guidelines and deliverables up front with collaborations, because we value the partner's feedback and a true partnership of hearing what that other person has to say, and we want to build what's going to be the best for both parties. Also, making sure you have some clear boundaries around what the capabilities are. Sometimes you want to say yes, yes, yes to all of these things the partner might want, but you also need to set realistic expectations, most importantly for your team, because it's costly, but also very time-consuming. And when there's so many other initiatives going on, it's so important to align on just the top priorities and stay focused and pretty firm on like what exactly your brand really needs, and take into consideration the feedback, but you don't have to take it all and action it.
I'm going to say something a little strange for partnerships and go with incremental rollout, which sounds a bit counterintuitive. And what I mean is, what Hiya is really good at is testing things before they really go out and reach a lot of people. And so when we launched new products, when we launched even the Barbie and Hot Wheels collaboration, we actually tested this in our post-purchase before we put it on our site, before we put marketing out, before we put any posts out. Yeah, and it's a way that we get a lot of feedback on price. Did people like it? Are people interested by it? And this allows us to say how much effort we actually want to put into it when we want the full launch. And we can look at past responses and go, okay, based on how interested are our customers via a post-purchase survey or a post-purchase buying experience, how much effort on the marketing side can we put into this? Because all of us have put a ton of effort into a partnership or like launch and then been like, oops, it didn't work. And so we really have nailed this incremental rollout thing.
Oh, that's awesome.
I'll try and hit on something more different, because we've had we could probably all resonate with the exact same things, but I would say just take your time in getting into brand collaborations. It would not be a stretch to imagine that every single person in this room has heard of Restoration Hardware. It would also not be a stretch to say that probably most of you have not heard about LeMay. The temptation when they called and said we want to collaborate was like, jump out of my seat, where do I sign? But instead we took our time, and I think through that we were able to create a foundation where there was a lot more mutual respect just by us sharing like what we've accomplished and what we're doing. They didn't know any of that. They just kind of reached out because they liked our design. And so, yeah, I think just taking your time and having conversations along the way and letting it be in a good foundational place before you launch it.
Thank you so much, everybody. It was really, really insightful, lots of great points. Good luck to all of you doing partnerships, and let us know how it goes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.